Ladies and gentlemen, Janel Grant is getting awfully desperate. What do I mean by that? Well, because there hasn't been a lot of positive movement in her direction in regards to the lawsuit that she filed at the beginning of the year against Vince McMahon and WWE. The way that the lawsuit was written, and I've got it pulled up for a couple of references that we're going to need, and I did a nice long breakdown of the lawsuit with Ryan Dawson on his channel a few weeks ago, and I just republished that. It's on the channel. You can find it, an hour-and-a-half long conversation where we spent most of the time talking wrestling, and a lot of the stuff, it was just a good conversation. Feel free to go back and refresh your memory for some of the more finer details on that one, where we went over everything in the lawsuit. But the way that it's worded, there were a bunch of people that were alluded to, okay, under the guise of being corporate officers. 3 of them in general, same way that Brock Lesnar was referred to as a former mixed martial arts heavyweight champion with 2 notable tattoos on his body. His contract was up in 2021 and he needed to re-sign in 2022 and would have to re-debut at SummerSlam later that year. But I don't want to name names because I'm not alleging that he actually did anything untowards, but I still want to be able to use it as a leverage at a later date if things don't end up going in my direction. So now we're having the names of those other people that weren't named, because if we could just go back and take a look at the lawsuit here for a second, okay? I will link out the copy that I'm using in the description. If you'd like to read it through all 67 pages yourself, feel free to go do that. So if you don't believe that I'm properly characterizing the lawsuit, I've read through it a bunch of different times and I think I have a pretty good grasp on it. Only people specifically mentioned John Laurinaitis. Well, sorry I pooped on you. Vince McMahon. Those are the only people by name that are mentioned. And of course, WWE for running the big cover up over the top. And that's what's being leveraged right here. Janel Grant is getting desperate because she's not getting the settlement that she so obviously wanted. Because you remember, this is a civil lawsuit. And now, because Vince seems steadfast, and Laurinaitis to a lesser extent, in fighting this out, seeing it through court, Janel realizes that, those receipts, those text messages actually kind of make me look just as culpable, maybe even worse if they were to come out. So, yeah, if I could just go ahead and shake somebody down, and now I can just go and name some names on the WWE side, maybe they'll be more likely to try to persuade Vince to settle, because now we're going to start to make other higher-ups look worse for trying to cover this stuff up. So Nick Khan, other WWE corporate officers in Janel Grant lawsuit identified. Why wouldn't you want to? If all of the assertions are supposed to be true by you and your representatives, that you wanted to file this lawsuit, that other victims would feel empowered to speak up so that actions like this would never happen again. Why would you be doing this? Let's make a deal. Okay, what's behind curtain number 1? Oh no, didn't get but don't worry, there's a second chance for you to win another prize. Here's another curtain that we'll go ahead and reveal. It's just that I'd like to get to the third curtain where we actually have evidence or proof of any of this stuff happening instead of a bunch of baseless assertions and some cherry-picked text messages. Can we just go ahead and fast forward to that? That would be great. Yes, we got Steph McMahon has also been revealed as corporate officer number 3. And number 2, the name doesn't ring a bell, but we'll get into it here. The identities of several WWE corporate officers listed in Janel Grant's lawsuit have been revealed. WWE President Nick Khan has been identified as the person referred to as corporate officer number 1 in the suit, according to the report published today by Front Office Sports. Company COO Brad Blum as the employee referred to as corporate officer number 2. Neither Khan nor Blum are accused of assault, but the suit does allege both contributed to covering up the exploitations in ways that make WWE liable. Interesting. But if they were also acting in the furtherance of illegal activities, and this was all about bringing truth to light, why didn't you name them? And why are you only leaking out the information instead of getting it down on the record? Oh, because you don't actually have the proof. Makes sense. A WWE spokesperson released a statement following the FOS, so the Front Office Sports article. Okay, WWE takes Ms. Grant's allegations very seriously. Yes, very seriously. So much so that you've blacklisted one of your biggest stars of the past 20 years and then also pushed out the guy who made this company, made the business what it is today. All off the backs of allegations very seriously and has no tolerance for any physical abuse or unwanted physical contact. Neither Nick Khan nor Brad Blum. Prior to the lawsuit being filed on January 25th, 2024, what was it, 2 days before the Royal Rumble and a day after the announcement of the big Netflix deal? Yeah, I'm sure that was very coincidental that that'll happen. We're aware of the allegations by Miss Grant that she was the victim of abuse or unwanted physical contact, nor the company alleged that either had knowledge of such. Oh, so this is kind of funny that you see WWE TKO, who obviously that's the parent company, over the top of this. You're trying to see them walk a nice fine line where it's like, we got to believe all women, but then at the same time, our guys on this side, yeah, they didn't do any wrongdoing, so we're not going to call her a liar because we have a locker room of rabid feminists that will just come in and make our lives living hell. But then at the same time, we don't want to throw any other people that helped us out in this hostile takeover and push out a Vince McMahon. Yeah, we don't really want to double cross them quite yet. Ann Callis, the lawyer representing Grant, confirmed Khan and Blum as the two mentioned in the lawsuit. I can confirm that these names are correct. Okay, cool. So that right there, oh boy, if somebody was willing to push back, which I kind of think. I'm just going to go ahead and speculate on this for a second, but I would imagine the fear of repercussion from Blum or Khan against Janel Grant is probably somewhere close to zero. That'd be why they got leaked 6 weeks after this lawsuit got filed, because Janel, oh yeah, some of those lawyer bills probably getting a little bit costly. All of your additional, tertiary accusations, the Ashley Massaro stuff, ended up going up in smoke. Haven't heard a hide nor hair off of that bitch. And the people trying to leverage her name post-mortem after that NCIS report came out, awfully quiet on that front over there. She's starting to realize that, Wrestlemania season is quickly upon us. So if I can't pressure WWE, they're going to be at their highest point of the year. There's not going to be another splash off, and I'm not going to have another opportunity to cash out at a high point. So yeah, if we could just go ahead and expedite this process, that'd be great. Yeah, you're going to continue. Like I say, every time we cover these Me Too type situations, you will always see new accusations like this, unless, of course, there is adequate reprisal for these lying women. These lying women who can just try to get away with anything that they can. Vince is going to try to fight this vociferously in the courts. Now, the fact that they're leaking these names of people that are linked in with TKO with WWE as they are party to this lawsuit, this is the Hail Mary to try to get a settlement as quickly as possible, but that's going to require the cooperation of two parties right here. You know, the WWE TKO are more than willing to make this just disappear, but Vince McMahon, he's got time now. He just cashed out, $400 million in shares? Now that's starting to come a little bit clearer now, isn't it? Vince has nothing but time on his hands. Oh, and he's going to be fighting this tooth and nail. I love it. Happiest I've been in regards to a Vince McMahon wrestling type decision that he's made in decades. Grant's suit states that Khan said to her, "I know exactly who you are." After she introduced herself, her suit alleges that Khan, knowing was unusual unless he was aware the ongoing exploitation. Because yeah, in the lawsuit right here, obviously, like I've got officers pulled up and 78 different unique references, and the way that these people were referred to. Okay, so Brad Blum right there, corporate officer number 2, high-ranking employee at WWE who made hiring decisions, conducted prospective employee interviews, maintained significant control over personnel decisions. Corporate officer number 2 worked in these capacities during Ms. Grant's employment with WWE. The individual referred to, corporate officer number 2. Number 1, Nick Khan, was a high-ranking employee and board member at WWE during Grant's employment with the Fed. Officer number 1 continued to work in high-ranking positions in connection with the September 12th, 2023 merger with UFC to create TKO Holdings. The individual referred to, number 1, and then corporate officer number 3, which is alleged to be Stephanie McMahon, high-ranking individual and or board member during Grant's employment. Because there was a time when Stephanie and Paul, Triple H, took a step back from the board. So she was off and on with the company during that time, the time frame that is being alleged here. Now, corporate officer number 4. Worked in legal affairs. Legal affairs. I think that's probably Jerry McDevitt. Long time lawyer for WWE and for Vince McMahon. You know, guy who helped out with the steroid trial back in '93. So we're talking a long time ago. Because when it comes to allegations against other people, so we know what she was talking about. Nick Khan knows exactly who I am, and the only way that he would know about her is if he knew extensively about all of the different accusations that I would go on to make years later. It's like, wow, that's a lot of speculation. I'm sure that'll hold up in court. And then with, corporate officer number 2, so Blum, he was apparently the liaison between between WWE and Vince in order to set her up with that sham job that she would ultimately end up holding. Blum is responsible for getting Grant set up with the job that even she in the lawsuit says it's like, I don't even know what I was doing there, but I was getting paid for it. And later transferred her to talent relations department to work under John Laurinaitis. He also gave her a salary increase of $200,000. Yep, that's in the suit. And she's like, I don't know why I deserve this, but I did. But I've been traumatized by all the stuff that I did. The suit also alleges that Blum and Khan were involved in negotiating Grant's NDA. Yeah, see, it's so funny. She could just go ahead and detail all of these nebulous individuals and all of their deep knowledge in this. But if you knew all of these people, why didn't you just name them in the lawsuit? Oh, because it wasn't expeditious at the time, right? You wanted a slow trickle release of information in order to leverage it as best as you could. Corporate officer number 3 listed in the suit is identified as Stephanie McMahon. She doesn't appear much in the suit, but it is implied she may have known other instances of her father engaging in inappropriate conduct. It was noted that Stephanie motioned for Grant to sit next to her at a board meeting once, and then she sold me out because she didn't believe my story. Oh, so we have information on, officer number 4 in the suit revealed in the former head of legal department, Bryant Nurse. Okay, so it's not Jerry McDevitt. My mistake. Grant's suit alleges that McMahon told her, and ordered Nurse to give her a job. Yeah, because she worked at the legal department without having a legal degree, without having legal experience. Frankly, she's never held a job in her life. That's in the lawsuit as well. She's only looked after her parents. She's 40 years old. She's never held a job before. She's 40 plus years old, my mistake. But yeah, man, the more that I read and the more information that I find on this, the more it really drives home the point that Janel Grant is getting desperate. She wants a settlement sooner rather than later, because you read through the lawsuit, you listen to the lawsuit, outside of the salacious stuff where Vince McMahon had a bunch of sex toys and he named them after the color and the consistency of the crank of other professional wrestlers. Once you get past the shock factor of poop in the hair, really start to realize that, this is just another Me Too story right here, just run amok. This is just a target where, all of these off-the-wall ideas really seems kind of viable based on the specific target, but when you're requiring receipts in order to make these allegations stick, they don't really end up coming out with much, instead of just trying to pressure other people to settle quickly so that you can just make this all go away. But guess what? WWE, they might be trying to settle this, but as for the other parties that she stupidly roped into this, they got time, cuz they got time today. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.